Today, I'm going to talk about the Kannada novel Ghachar Ghochar, written in 2015 by the very famous writer Vivek Shanbhag. Before I take you to the plot of the story, I would like to tell you a few things about the author, Vivek Shanbhag, who was born in Sirsi, Karnataka in 1962. And he is an Indian story writer, novelist, and playwright in Kannada. He has published five short story collections, three novels, and two plays, and has edited two anthologies, one of which is in English. Vivek was the founder editor of the literary journal Desh Kala and worked as its editor for 7 years. Desh Kala was considered as one of the best literary magazine in Kannada. His works have been translated into English and several other Indian languages. Shanbhag was a writer in residence at the International Writing Program at the University of Iowa during the fall of 2016. Vivek Shanbhag is considered as one of the finest writer of Kannada literature. His short stories and novels are highly praised by the critics. Ghachar Ghochar is the first of his books to appear in English, and through this, he got huge recognition as a writer from all over the world. Ghachar Ghochar is translated into 18 languages worldwide. It was one of the New York Times critics' top books of 2017, one of Vulture's 100 best books of the 21st century, and finalist for the LA Times Book Prize in fiction. Vivek is the co translator of U.R. Ananthamurthy's book Hindutva or Hind Swaraj into English. Vivek is an engineer by training. He lives in Bangalore, India. I would like to tell you some of name of some of the story, short story collections. Among them, Ankura that he has published in 1985, Languru 1992, Huli Savari 1995, Matobanna Samsara 2005, and novella that we are talking about that he has written in the year 2013 but got translated in 2015. He has written many other novels, uh, um, like, for example, Inu Ondu 2001, Ondu Badi Kadalu 2007, Oru Banga 2015, and Sakinala Muttu 2021. He has written plays also, among them Sakkare Gombe in 1999, Bahumukhi 2007, and Ilirudu Summane 2021. As I said, that yeah, he's been the editor of two more magazines named Shri Gannada in English in 2001 and Shri Krishna Alanahalli Vachike to 2010. Now I'd like to tell you about, like, a brief info about the translator Srinath Perur, who translated this novel in 2015. Srinath Perur is the author of If It's Monday and It Must Be Madurai in 2013, and the translator of Vivek Shanbhag's Ghachar Ghochar in 2015. Srinath Perur's writing essays, reportage, travelogues, translations has appeared in various publications, including India Today, The Guardian, Fountain Ink, Granta, okay, and the Outlook Travelers. He lives in Bangalore when he is not traveling. Ghachar Ghochar, I must say, is brilliantly translated by Srinath Perur, who has convincingly conveyed the tone, which for Shanbhag is the most important thing in translation. It is a nuanced wonder with echoes of another South Indian master, the great R.K. Narayan. Srinath Perur's excellent translation presents a wonderfully measured, sometimes mannered diction using words such as compunction and phrasing such as took to creating a moat around the food, as opposed to the more obvious, less stately would create, greeted, or even just made. Vivek Shanbhag, now if I, elaborate a bit about that from where the writer Vivek Shanbhag got a kind of inspiration And as this novel is the setting of the novel is Bangalore, so would like to throw some light on those aspects. Vivek Shanbhag actually grew himself in Ankola, small scenic town in coastal Karnataka. But it was in Ankola that Shanbhag learned an important lesson in life and literature. One doesn't need to travel to distant locales to write. Only need to look around. It is a lesson he is imbibed from famed Kannada author Yashwant Chittal, who set his own story in the town Hanehalli, less than 50 kilometers from Ankola. Ghachar Ghochar is dedicated to Yashwant Chittal. Shanbhag, who first read Chittal's story as a teenager, had the good fortune of meeting him as a 17-year-old. The older writer took the aspiring one to his village, showing him its many sights and views. Shanbhag looked for the location of fiction in the geography of the town. He had read about the village's church, its bridge, and its road. That inspired him somehow to create this kind of setting for his novels or short stories. Uh, Ghachar Ghochar is also called as a psychological novel. Now, what is psychological novel? The psychological novel is traditionally understood as a genre of prose fiction that focuses intensely on the interior life of character, representing their subjective thoughts, feelings, memories, and desires. And it is very much true to our novel Ghachar Ghochar, where the unnamed, the psychological, insights into the character of unnamed narrator, who is the protagonist of the novel, is shown descriptively. Then thoughts, feelings, and motivations of the characters are of equal or greater interest than is the external action of the narrative. In a psychological novel, the emotional reaction and internal states of the characters are influenced by and in turn trigger external events in a meaningful symbiosis. This emphasis on the inner life of character is a fundamental element of a vast body of fiction. In the psychological novel, plot is subordinate to and dependent upon the probing delineation of characters. Here also we see the same thing. Here the plot is not straightforward. The writer keep going into flashbacks and keep on narrating the events from the past and striking a comparison between past and present event. Even may not be presented in chronological order. Here also we haven't seen anything like that, but rather as they occur in the characters' thought associations, memories, fantasies, reveries, contemplations, and dreams. So all these things, that we or all these facts that we take into consideration regarding psychological novel, very true to this novel, Ghacha Gorcher, and that's why we can call this novel as a psychological novel. Let me tell you the main characters of the novel. First is the narrator, who is the unnamed narrator. He doesn't have any name. Another is Anita, the narrator's wife. Amma, the narrator's mother. Appa, the narrator's father, and Chikkappa, the narrator's uncle. Then Malati, the narrator's elder sister, and Vincent, a waiter whom the narrator considers a prophetic kind of person. We have few minor characters also, like Chitra and Suhasini. These characters actually appear into into different episodes very briefly. Now let's discuss the plot of the novel. The novel is the first person account of an unnamed sensitive young man. He regularly visits an old world coffee shop in Bangalore where he is drawn towards a laconic waiter named Vincent, who the man believes possesses prophetic abilities. The man reminisces about his bond with a young feminist named Chitra, whom he unceremoniously cast aside, but his mind mostly wanders towards his dysfunctional family, consisting of his parents, uncle, and a divorced elder sister. He recollects the rags to riches story, actually, of his family and worries about the deteriorating relationship between him and his wife, Anita, who is troubled by his lack of motivation and apathy towards his family misdeeds. Ghachar Ghochar is a finely woman novel set in Bangalore that uses the dynamics of a family to tell of work and money, globalization, and prosperity. It is told in the voice of an unnamed son who lives with his mother, father, sister, paternal uncle, and wife. He whiles away his time at a coffee house pretending to be the director of Sona Masala while he gets a salary from his uncle's company for not getting in the way. The story moves from present to past, detailing the change in the circumstances of the family. When the father worked as a salesman for a company dealing with tea, Appa's work was the whole family's work. The family had money to make ends meet, but nothing to spare. The son says, we simply didn't desire what we couldn't afford. When you have to choice, you have no discontent either. Under the father's command, the household ran on a monthly salary, which neither rose and nor fell. Under their uncle, the fortune of the house gradually changed, starting with the arrival of cooking gas into the kitchen. In many ways, the novella builds on these simple assumptions. What happens when we have more than we necessarily need? Does surfeit draw a family closer or further apart? The narrator ruminates. It's true what they say. It's not we who control money, it's the money that controls us. When there is only a little, it behaves meekly. When it grows, it becomes brash and has its way with us. So, all in all, the story goes like this, that there was a time when narrator was having very limited amount of money earned by his appa, and the whole family was dependent on him. Later, when Chikappa laid foundation of Sona Masala, and over the period of time, very short period of time, they became pretty much prosperous. So this surplus of money actually drove them towards a direction that they themselves were not knowing. This all of a sudden appearance of abundance of money in their life actually entangled their relationship, entangle the equation between the family members to a limit that is that is considered now unrepairable. And that's why the novel's title, you can find it, that Ghachar Ghochar. And at last we see that, yeah, what happened, the ending of the story is actually an open ended. You can have many assumptions to make, you can think a lot, and I don't want to disclose the ending. It's better that you read this book and um, get to know that, yeah, what happens in the story. I'm sure that you would like this story. And with this, I will end this session. Thank you so much for listening.